Hey guys, another video for our myths about Japan playlist. So it appears that if you're on the internet and you want to make a popular video or a popular social media post, you've got a couple of options. One is you could search weird things about Japan and then just make a list. People like lists, so you know, the top 10 things about Japan that are weird or something like that. You don't have to reality check it. You don't have to research it to make sure it's actually accurate or anything like that. You just get your list of the weirdest things about Japan that you could find. You can make some up if you want to, just add some to it, make some weird stuff up, and then you just search on the internet for some stock video or stock photos that you can use to sort of give it some imagery and then post it on the internet, right? And you're sure to get millions of views. People will believe it without question. So for example, we get sent stuff like this just about every day, every week for sure, sometimes every day. People send stuff and say, just saw this, is this true? You know, it never ends, it never ends. And it just seems like, you can make up weird things about Japan and people already have an image that Japan's pretty weird, which is sort of based on fact, but you can make up pretty much anything and people won't question it. They don't even go off and search to find out if it's true, they just won't question it. So, for example, we get sent stuff like this all the time. For example, this week, one of our PayPal supporters sent a link to a video and said, what do you think of this? And I was like, oh, no, it's just another one that was the same, you know, with just one cringe after another. And again, classic example, the dude had a Facebook page, the people have a Facebook page that isn't about Japan, it's just about anything that they think will get clicks, basically. And they'd done the classic, exactly what I just described. They got 10 things that are weird about Japan. Some of them are common ones, some that they might have made up themselves, not really sure. And they just got some stock photos and stock videos from the internet and then added one of those AI voiceovers and off they went, right? And it just cringe. And then you read the comments, it's on Facebook, and you read the comments, and everybody's believing it. Oh, how weird Japan is, you know, isn't Japan weird? Which nobody's saying Japan isn't weird, but it's just nobody was questioning the truth of any of it. So it was actually called 12 most shocking laws in Japan. Most shocking laws, right? Which, again, people like lists. It's a formula, you know, like most of the popular videos and popular posts on the internet. There's a formula to it that people like, that the masses like, and they love lists. Anything that's top 10 this or top 10 that. And then if you add shocking, top 10, 12 in this case, 12 most shocking laws in Japan, sure to get clicks, right? And then you can just post any rubbish and people just go, oh, that must be true, right? So anyway, I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you all of it because it's just some of it's just too cringy and too silly to even talk about. But I'll just do the high points. So anyway, have a look at this nonsense. So I'll spare you that painful AI voice, guys. You can listen to my painful voice instead. Being overweight is illegal. The fat tax or Metabo law was passed in Japan in 2008. It was an attempt to overcome increasing obesity rates. This law applies to people aged 40 to 75. It enforces mandatory annual waist measurements. The waist limits are 33.5 inches for men and 35 inches for women. Companies even arrange for weight loss classes for employees. If an employee doesn't fit the limit, the company must pay a fine. So, yeah, we already made a video about that, didn't we? We covered all that. As a person who is in the 40 to 75 age bracket, I can tell you that there's no compulsory waist measurement thing. It's based on the fact that we have part of the Japanese healthcare system gives us a free health check every year if we want it. So they send us a letter and say, if you want a health check, come and get it. And they give you a full health check, right? And if you do happen to be overweight, they'll sometimes offer you either nutritional advice or give you an appointment with a nutritionalist if you want one. There's no law saying that you can't be overweight in Japan. Ask any sumo. So we already covered this in quite an extensive video addressing every point that was made there. and it's all BS, as you guys know, and we'll put the link to that particular video underneath this video if you want to see it, and we'll cover all that in detail. War is illegal. Japan may not maintain any form of army, navy, or air force. It also renounces the use of force to settle international conflicts. This has been written into the Japanese constitution since World War II. So, like most of this BS about Japan, it is based on fact, but those of you who've seen our previous videos where we've showed you Japan's Self-Defense Force aircraft, and we might have even shown you some tanks at one stage. Again, we addressed this in another video, and it is obviously BS. The Constitution was changed after World War II to say that Japan won't involve itself in international conflict anymore. However, it maintains a very healthy military, and again, I'll put the link to that video addressing that particular piece of BS underneath in the comment section. So I skipped 3 and 4, guys. They were too silly to even talk about. How about this one? It's illegal to clone a human being in Japan. Yeah, it's true, but would we really call that a shocking law? Right. Okay, so you can't clone humans. That doesn't seem to be affecting us too much in our day-to-day lives, does it? The bullshit part of that is calling it a shocking law. I mean, it's quite a common law in many countries around the world. You can't clone humans. But anyway, let's let that go and move on to the next one, shall we? Oh God, this one. Showing your thighs is against the law. So it's some old 1948 law, right? That people love this, don't they? Every country has their old, outdated laws, don't they, that haven't been removed, haven't been changed, and don't get enforced anymore. This is the sort of stuff. This is the sort of stuff that spreads all over the internet because they love stuff like that, don't they, you know? But anybody who's ever been to the beach in Japan or a nightclub or even just walked the streets in summer, you know, knows how much BS is involved in that particular one. So, yeah, it might be true. Like most of these things, there's an element of truth in all of these things, but that they get exaggerated or they get misrepresented as being a common thing, and then they get picked up by other clickbaiters who want to get clicks on the internet, and they repeat these things, and this is how these things get started and perpetuated. So ridiculous, isn't it? Next. So I skipped the last couple, they were silly. Talking to a bus driver while a vehicle is in motion is prohibited. It's illegal. So who would call that shocking? Isn't that common almost all around the world? That there's signs up that say, please don't talk to the driver while he's driving? Isn't that a common thing? And even if it wasn't common, would anyone call that a shocking law? The 12 most shocking laws. It's ridiculous, isn't it? It really is ridiculous. It just lacks, they don't care. They really don't care, do they? All they're trying to do is make a list, post on the internet and get clicks and views. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Carrying around scissors is prohibited. Scissors longer than 3.15 inches, classified as swords. Yeah, it's an old law that was brought in after the Meiji period. But again, is this a shocking law, guys? How many countries of the world carrying a bladed article with a blade longer than a certain length is illegal? Is quite a common law around the world, is it? Again, who would call this a shocking law? You can't carry a bladed item on you without a valid excuse. And again, couriers and other people who have reasons to be carrying scissors obviously don't have a problem with it, as it says, unless it's justifiable, right? Which would be pretty much the same in most other countries, wouldn't it? Is it? You guys be the judge. Was that a shocking law? So you can see why we get frustrated with these, can't you? Most of the time, as I said before, almost every day we get sent stuff like this, and we just usually answer the people and say, no, it's BS, and leave it at that. Usually we don't address it because they're so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's such an insult to our intelligence that they post stuff like this and people believe it, you know. So usually we don't bother addressing it. We're only doing this. Our buddy, our PayPal supporter, has been a really good supporter, so he asked to address this one, so we're addressing it. But this just gives you a bit of an idea of good examples of what we get every day. and why we shouldn't believe most of the nonsense we see and hear about Japan unless we know it to be true, because this is the sort of stuff. Speaking of which, isn't this a classic? It's illegal to open a letter sent to a family member. Actually, the law says it's illegal to open a letter addressed to someone else. Is that a shocking law? Isn't that a federal law in most countries, that if you open someone else's mail, it's against the law? Hardly a shocking law, is it? So anyway, guys, you get the idea. You get the idea. This is the sort of nonsense that we're dealing with all the time. It's really frustrating. I mean, we've been getting stuff like this from other people for like 12 years. People have been sending us stuff like this. So to those people who send it to us, look, it's fine. You know, we're not blaming you. You're just passing it on. And we're always happy if someone shows us some stuff that's rubbish. We're also always happy to give them an honest evaluation of it. But to those of you who don't always get a video made about whatever it is that you've sent us, this is why, because it's just never ending. We could literally spend every day making a video about the myths if we wanted to, but it's sort of depressing how stupid the Joe public can be to believe so much of this stuff, or to believe the variations of the reality that they're told. So anyway, that's enough of that. More videos coming soon.